Barry Eugene Wilmore, Captain, Navy. That was my last deployment, and leading up to that deployment, I'd been interviewed by NASA, and NASA was delaying their announcement, and I don't remember why, but it was delayed for months from when they were supposed to make the announcement of who was selected, who wasn't. Because there's some wickets that happen when you're selected, when you have an interview, and if they do a background check on you after your interview, they're looking at you seriously, because those things cost several $1,000s. They don't throw that away, throw that money around. So they did a background check on me, so it was looking positive, like I'd be selected. My deployment before that was not the, as far as all my deployments, it was the worst of the four. So I wasn't looking forward to going to sea again at this point, because you had this opportunity perhaps of flying in space maybe. So it was coming down to the wire. It was literally, we were 3 days from leaving to go on deployment. So I'm either going to go to NASA, start a whole new career and do something different, or I'm going to go to sea again for 6 months. And that's what was pending. So I came in from flying, and the duty officer said, "Hey, Butch, a guy from NASA, Dwayne Ross called you." Well, if you know anything about the selection process, Dwayne Ross is the chief of the selection group, the guy who runs that. If he calls you, you know you didn't get selected. The chief of the astronaut office, if he calls you, you got selected. So you know that, because that's kind of the way it's been for all these before prior selections. So I walk in 3 days before leaving on deployment. Dwayne Ross called you. I'm like, oh, okay. And I knew I wasn't selected. And I went on deployment, and it was awesome. Flying F-18s off the Eisenhower, and went every place I'd been before, Persian Gulf, and through the Suez Canal and the Red Sea and all that, and the guy, I was department head at this point, and it was just fabulous. I mean, there's down points, low points here and there, but overall it was great. So it turned out for the very good, if you will. So wonderful. And then I went to the weapons school there at Cecil Field for 9-ish months. Was the OPSO of the weapons school. The VF-83 was a senior JO tour. I was still a lieutenant, because I was on my second deployment as a lieutenant JG. So I'm senior JO for that VFA-83 tour. Then I went to the weapons school. I was the OPSO at the weapons school for 9 months, and then I went to VFA-34, and that was my department head tour, and went through that process, and actually wound up getting pulled out of that a little early. I'd gotten on my wickets check for command, to make command, hopefully, of an F-18 squadron. And through the process of all this, intermingled in here, I completed a couple of master's degrees, electrical engineering from my original college, Tennessee Tech, and then an aviation systems degree from the University of Tennessee. And when one of the guys I had served with in VFA-83, Tushar Tembe, who wound up commanding an aircraft carrier. I don't remember which one, but he actually passed away while he was in command of the aircraft carrier. Anyway, at the time, he was the placement officer. Calls me when I'm in VFA-83. That's why I got pulled out early. He said, "Hey, the instructor position at Air Force Test Pilot School has opened up. Would you like it?" And I said, "Well, let me go talk to the XO." The XO, who I really respected, Speedy Hafner. He said, "Butch, I think your record's strong enough where you'll screen," because he was a former placement officer. "You'll screen for command. Going and doing a transition, no, not transition, but a tour with the Air Force won't hurt you, I don't think. So sure, go do it." So I went and did that. While I was at Air Force Test Pilot School as an instructor, flying the F-15 and the T-38, I was interviewed by NASA as an astronaut,